Welcome to Mindset Chatter, first actual live edition. Today's fabulous guest, Choate of Roberts Wesleyan Women's Soccer. Happy Senior Day, and thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
I wanted to, when I put these together, I either think of a topic and a person that would match that topic well, or just there's an obvious matching. So I do that. And when I thought of when I talked to you initially, I thought of like leadership and what that looks like for you. When you think of the leadership role you've stepped into for the soccer team, how do you view leadership?
I would say just giving your all 100% every time you go into the field, not just for yourself, but for others too. Like going about practice, like making sure like everyone is okay, like everyone's like just going in not just for yourself but for everybody. Because as a leader, like your role isn't just to always worry about yourself; it's to worry about your whole team and make sure everything's like everyone's on the same like page and on the same loop. So.
Yeah, I like that. As you entered your senior year, if I remember correctly, you were a titled leader, a captain on your junior year, and we'll probably get to that. As you entered your senior year, and you're thinking about as your experience winds down, and I think it might be a little easy to be a little more self-centered about that experience. How have you been able to kind of manage through that and give to your team? I mean, what are your thoughts as you're processing that?
I think just like also like going in as a captain junior year was more of a year to see what it really means to be captain because other captains were seniors, so it was more of like I was like not I was at the same level, but I was kind of under their wing at the same time, like really like going through and being like, wow, this is what a leader really looks like. So then for my senior year, I feel like it's gotten 10 times better because I know I've been through a whole season with it, and now it's like 10 times stronger. But it's not like I'm it's not like, oh, I'm captain, so blah, 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 blah. It's more of like, what can I do for my team to show that I care and show that I want to be the best leader on this team and I want to be the person that they want to come to. So, yeah, I think that's really the big difference. I'm more comfortable in my role versus last year was more of a, how do I do this? Versus this year's more of a, I know how to do this now, but I need to be to the best I can be.
Right. Have you viewed that more as a mentorship kind of thing, or just being the total best you could be, or is it a kind of a mix?
I would say mixed because we also have two other captains on our team that are phenomenal as well, and I think we all like collaborate and work together, which I think is a really good thing because it's like it's not like I think each of us play a different role in our captains. Like we all have a different personality, which brings like goodness to it because it's like everyone's different, everyone leads in a different way, where it makes it like powerful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I actually like that. The environments I've seen or worked in where like all of the leaders are exactly the same. Um, I don't think you get a good like 360-degree experience of either just moving forward, but what happens when issues arise, and maybe it's out of your comfort zone, but it's someone else's strength. So I actually really like that. Was Is there any point like you're thinking about developing maybe some new leaders, you're thinking about being your best and role modeling that, and obviously there's some responsibilities that come with the title position. Have you made a switch from like, okay, be a great captain this year, to kind of leaving a mark on the program? Like, what's your legacy going to be?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely being a senior, you realize you don't have much time left. So you think about the future and no longer playing soccer a lot. And I think it's just leading in a way you know, like the underclassmen are going to be like, this is what a leader looks like. This is what I need to step up and be. Because even if you're a freshman, you can be a leader on the team. So I think it's very like, I want to be that role model to show them like, this is you can do it. Everyone starts out being a freshman. Eventually everyone's going to be a senior. So being able to be that role and be able to be that type of person for the team is very important. And I think they all very like admire everyone on the team. Like we all respect the freshmen, the freshmen respect the senior, and all through the classes. And I think it's really awesome because I think our team environment is great, and I think that starts with the leadership on our team, especially because we have such a big senior class. It's not even just the captains; it's the whole senior class has made it like a goal for us to just show the underclassmen what it means to be Robert soccer. Because in the past, sometimes that has gone out the window sometimes. And I think this year is very like, this is who we are as a team, and this is who we want to be, and this is what we could be. We just have to put the work in to get there. So.
I think it's easy for it to go out the window when, especially when times get tough. I think we start to think about ourselves, and we kind of go in survival mode. So I think that's a good culture to kind of get to when you bond together through kind of trauma, adversity, instead of like tearing apart. And kind of to that point, how do you view everyone leading on the team as opposed to just the title leaders, and what does that kind of look like for you?
I think it's great. I think there's times where it's obviously like these are the, like there's always times where it's like the upperclassmen and then these are the underclassmen. You have to like help them through things. But I think if everyone can be a leader and be their like play their role on the team, it's a great thing, because like at times things aren't going to go well, and you have to be there for each other, whether it's freshmen are there for freshmen, sophomores are there for sophomores, or everyone's there for everybody. I think it's just great because not everything goes perfect in a season. There's bumps in the road, and I think if everyone is a leader and knows what is supposed to, like, knows the standard, I think that's really powerful. And I think it doesn't always have to come from the seniors, it can be everybody.
What kind of team would you rather lead? Would you rather lead a team on a winning streak, or would you rather lead a team on a losing streak?
That's a tough one. Honestly, I mean, I love winning, but I think it shows your full strength as a leader if you lead a team that's losing and show them, because we've been through that before. Like last year, we didn't have the greatest season, so it's like, what does it look like to be at the low and get to the top? How do you work through that? And I think it's so easy to be a leader when everything's rainbows and sunshine. I think a true leader shows when you do go through those bumps and you do go through those challenges. What does it look like? So I think that's really important. So yeah.
Yeah, somebody said, I read a quote once, I forget who it was, somebody said winning's a good deodorant. So it's like, it covers up the mess and the stink, and it's like, I think we start tolerating things we know are maybe not great because it's not mattering at the time. What would be, do you have an example of like when winning covered up maybe it was a good deodorant and covered up a stink, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I guess we need to fix this?
Like sometimes team culture, I feel like sometimes gets thrown out the window when everything's good and winning. I think it's easy to like, also drama happens on teams, and it always happens. So I think when you're winning, that some things could occur that just get covered up. Oh, we won the game, so nothing that happened matters. We won. Like some things just like that happen, and I don't know. It's hard to be like, oh, we did this wrong because we won the game. But it's like we have to still be, even if some teams win games and they have no team culture and they're not a community, and it's like you feel you won the game, but sometimes it almost feels like you lost.
Right. And I don't think that's a sustainable way to win. I think it works short term, but I think eventually those cracks start to tear everything apart. Kind of sitting where you are now as a senior and being through some of the different experiences to that point when you're winning and you see that happening, what's a good step for a leader to do, either on field or off field?
I think addressing the situation head on, not going around and talking about it with everyone. I think just, especially as a captain, like if you see something that's like, hey, like that's not okay, go up and talk to the person. Not like in a mean or aggressive way. Be like, hey, what's going on? Like what's causing this? Blah, 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 blah. And I think also like as a team, if it's like the whole team setting like, oh, maybe our energy's off this day. We still won, but our energy was terrible. Being like, going over our team goals. This is what we have to stand in for our team. This is our team goals. Our team goals are be a family, win, and togetherness. And I think at the end of the day, if we focus on those goals every game, if we win, we still play for each other. We're together. We're united as one. So I think that's a really good thing to always keep in mind is if you feel like something's off, going over the goals of your team and figuring out, hey, did we match this goal today? Did we find this goal? If not, this is what we can do to fix that and make it better.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between having an ugly win and not being happy with a win. To me, I think an ugly win shows that you had some grit and fought through it. Whereas, kind of back to, yeah, we won, but we were a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I liked you talking about was addressing that the issues and the drama in the culture, and back to the perspectives. I think the same thing can be true when you're dealing with that. That I always say there's three sides to every story, right? There's your side, there's my side, and there's what's actually happened. And there's probably a fourth or fifth side. So I think it's important to go into a lot of those times. One, maybe assuming good intentions, or maybe it's more assuming that there might be a different perspective. And can we walk in those shoes?
Yeah, exactly.
So talk to me about the adversity side of things. So when you're on that losing streak, and morale starts to drag down, and maybe it's a case of you're overthinking your opponents, like, ooh, we're playing the first place team in our conference, we don't have a chance. How do you lead through those scenarios?
I think at the end of the day, it just comes with unity as your team and realizing, like, losses don't describe, like, they don't, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like, they don't say, like, that's who you are. Just because you lose a game doesn't mean you're a bad team. Just everyone wins and loses. It's a part of life. You're gonna lose sometimes. So I think just like saying, like, hey, that's not who we are. We didn't show who we were this time. Let's show them who we really are and what Robert Soccer is. And I think getting everyone on the same page and unity is like the best thing you can do when that stuff happens, because some people get checked out. It's a part of life. Some people are like, dang, we're losing right now, why is this happening? And they get in their head. I do it too. I do it all the time.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah. So I think just really at the end of the day, like, it's you put the team before yourself, and you're like, this is what I need to do for the rest of my teammates to be successful, and I just go out and do it and show them who we are. And I think I think that helped us a lot.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the controllables. What can we control? You talked about kind of the attitude side of it, the effort side of it, and I think we can set goals that we are fully in charge of, that we can reach. I mean, maybe it's a successful pass count, or maybe it's a time of possession count, or something like that, which aren't totally controllable all the time, but at least the outcomes we can't control.
Yeah.
But we totally get wrapped in that for sure. So let's talk about, like, leading through, like, the start of a new season. And maybe it's not fair to you because, like, next year a lot of seniors are going, and like there's a big class. What, 10 is it?
Yeah, 8.
Eight.
A lot.
So yeah, so there's going to be like 8 new spots available. How do you take your wisdom, your leadership, and the fact that your teammates are looking out for you, and how do you help now ensure next year is a success?
I think it comes down to just showing everybody what we stand for, and being a leader means you're there for everybody, and knowing that we're going to be gone, like, also like wanting to leave a mark on the season and be like, hey, like, this is what you guys got. This, you don't need us seniors. You underclassmen next year are going to be just fine. You know how to play. You know what it looks like. You know what it entitles. You guys got this. And like boosting them with confidence, because everyone's like, eventually we're all going to be gone and we're all going to not have soccer anymore. So it's like, at the end of the day, as long as you guys put your best out there, you'll be just fine. And I think being a leader, and the main thing you need is confidence. It's not just in you, but your team. And I think if you show them that you have confidence in them, they, like, you see, if you show somebody that you are like, I'm 100% confident in you, their play goes up to here. Just, they might not have confidence in themselves, but if they feel someone else has confidence in you, it's crazy, the play difference. So I think that's a big thing. It's just showing them that they can do it, and everyone knows you can do it.
I love this topic because confidence is a lot. Watch my screensaver. That's kind of a two-way coin, though, to me, because you also have to kind of earn that, I feel. So how do you have that confidence in somebody and you lead them and you're pulling them along when they're kind of struggling to do that? Maybe they're not putting in the work. Maybe they're consistently giving up on themselves. I always say I can't have more faith in you than you have in yourself. How does that look to you as a leader?
I say, like, an example would be, say at practice someone's having a hard time, that they're not practicing, like, or they're not being like their normal self. Be like, hey, like, you got this. Like, what's going on? And then if they want to talk about it, they want to talk about it. If they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to talk about it. But at least they have someone that's like, hey, you got this. Like, don't worry about it. Next play, you got it. Next one, you got it. So I think that's, I don't know, powerful, but like sometimes you can't control another person's emotions. So I think if you just show that you care, and even if you're having a rough day, you're still here for a reason. You still got here because you're a good soccer player. So I think in the back of their mind, as long as you have that, because everyone has rough days. I have rough days all the time. And I just think if I know my teammates are there for me, it's like, yes, I had a rough day, but my team still loves me and they still care about me. And I think at the end of the day, that's like the really important, not versus your skill and ability.
Right. I totally agree. How do you manage the balance then between like the love and support and the high standards to get what we want as a team?
That's hard. It's definitely hard because it's like there's accountability when it comes into it. Like if you know you're having a rough day or there's a challenge or there's adversity that we're facing and we know we're supposed to be up here, but right now it's right here. It's guys, like what's going on? Like we need to be at this standard. It's not like we're like yelling at each other and everything's going crazy. We all know as a whole we are not doing what's supposed to be like going on. We're not where we should be right now. So I think it's if we notice it in practice, stop the drill, be like, hey guys, this is not, we're down here right now. It has to be right here. Let's be loud, because I think the biggest thing is when things go wrong, everyone gets quiet and everyone shuts down. I think when things go wrong, the biggest thing is communication and being loud and being energy and talking through it, because once that happens, then it's like, oh, there, that's who we are.
So I feel, it's funny, this topic's been kind of in my head this week. I feel when things are going wrong or things get tough, that the self-doubt starts to creep in a little bit. And so I think we're afraid to talk because we are sure we're going to say the wrong thing. How do you help bolster the communication in those times where maybe those people are just afraid to speak because they're wrong? How do you create that kind of trust environment?
I think knowing like every voice on the field is valued and heard. Like if you're going to say something, we all are going to listen and try and understand what you're saying. And maybe if someone says something, you're like, what does that really mean? Be like, generally ask them, be like, hey, like what do you mean by this? And they can show you. And I think like having different inputs and different ideas from other people, like freshman, sophomore, senior, junior, like it's just great because you get different viewpoints, and you're like, oh, I might see it this way, but this person might see it completely different. So understanding like what other viewpoints are, I think is helpful with that too.
Yeah, I love that. Again, back to the different perspectives, and I think the key thing you said there was ask. I think so many times I'm like, oh, I can't believe Kara would say something like that to me, and it's like it's not what you meant at all.
Yes.
So it's you know, I feel like most adults my age are really horrible at communication, and to kind of expect your age to be good at it's maybe a little unreasonable. It's always a work in progress.
For sure.
Let's talk about you led through a time of uncertainty last year. So it wasn't even wins, losses necessarily, but it was just unknown future and maybe unknown present. What struggles did you find in trying to keep everyone together and pointed in the same direction when there was a lot of unknowns?
I think the biggest struggle was the idea that we didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on, and I think people were just at the end of the day scared because we all care about this so much, and we didn't know what the future was going to look like, especially because some of us only had a year or 2 years left. So it was like, what is this going to actually look like? And I think another thing we dealt with was like commitment and I don't know, like what I don't know what I'm trying to say. More like it wasn't like we didn't have a set thing going on, so everyone was scattered. And it was trying to get our teams to still be united and still be together, even though we didn't have a set thing going on. We didn't have a set future. We didn't know what was going to happen. So it was really hard to keep our team united. So that was our main focus. It wasn't we need to get better as soccer players. It was we need to stick together because right now we need each other. If we don't have each other, everything's going to go out the window.
And I think it's hard to find commitment and motivation, maybe it's even more hope and optimism when you're like not sure why you're putting in all this work.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel it's kind of like spring season when you're like you got the practices and you're working really hard, but there's never a game. You're kind of like, why are we doing all this?
Yeah.
I feel it was kind of like maybe an exaggerated version of that. What things were you able to do, or maybe what did you try to do and it didn't work out? How were you able to manage through that? Like, how were you able to inspire that togetherness, keep them there, keep the hope going, as hard as it was?
We would have a lot of team meetings just together, and we would talk about it. Like we had many times where we just said, "You guys, like, what's on your minds? Like, what are you guys thinking about?" And they would have the opportunity to share how they were feeling and what they were going through with this whole thing, and it really helped us because we realized that all of us were kind of feeling the same way, and we are all in this together, and we are all going through it. And I just think that was very powerful because it was like a time to be vulnerable with your teammates and show like how it was really affecting you, because we did go through something that was very like it affected all of us. And I think being able to talk to each other about it together really helped us like be able to unite as a team and move past it and realize that we can come out of this. Like if we stick together, we can get through this. And I think that was like very big thing. It was like we are just so open to talk about it together and figure it out with each other.
Yeah, I think that vulnerability is huge. I think for one, it takes a lot of courage to actually open up that way, because it kind of goes back to that when the communication shrinks, when things get hard, it's because I'm worried I'm going to say this and everyone's going to look at me like I'm crazy. But usually, I think almost always, I've seen the opposite, where all of a sudden your teammates are like, "What? You feel that way too?" And I think you hit it right on the head when you were talking about it. It brings them together because you all realize you're going through the same thing. So yeah, I love that, and you guys did such a great job of getting through that and having a good season this year. So that was really cool for me to see. I want to go back. We talked about kind of how do you balance the love of your teammates with the high standards. You personally, pre-captain, so you're coming in as a freshman, you're coming in as a sophomore, you're kind of learning the ropes. What were your thoughts on like, oh man, I feel like I'm failing, I feel like I'm doing really bad, there's all these standards. How did you personally balance it as a player with feeling that support of your teammates while you were kind of like, man, I'm really struggling here?
Yeah, I think it's hard, especially coming in as a freshman, because you're not really sure, like you don't realize the level of play or this like what is expected for you until you get there on your first day. And I think the biggest thing was having a team that supported you and knew, like, because when I was a freshman and sophomore, we had team captains that taught me how to be a captain. They were the great leaders, and they pushed us, and they had faith in us, and they knew we could do it. And I think that is like the biggest thing was like, and we had like coaches who supported us and wanted what was best for us and knew what we were capable of. So it was like we had such a high standard because they knew we could get there, not that it wasn't reachable. So it was like, we know we can do this. So if you're having an off day and you're going through these challenges, and yeah, I still have the love and support from my teammates, but I also know I can be that type of player. So go out there and prove them that you can be that type of player.
Was that belief in you, and we talked about this a little earlier, the belief in you from the captains that you could get to this level, and the belief from the coaches could get to that level? I'm sure initially you probably doubted you could as well. Were you able to just like totally let yourself go and believe that and just work? How much did you worry that it wasn't true as opposed to believing it.
There's always days where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to play soccer today. What am I doing? And I think like it's okay to be hard on yourself because everyone's hard on themselves. Like, don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of times where I was at practice, and especially freshman and sophomore year, and I was like, I just cannot play soccer. And I would still leave feeling that way, not like just because my teammates still loved me and supported me, even though I was still having this bad day, I still felt it, and I still went on, and I still was like upset about it. But I think you gotta also understand that everyone has those days, and even though you have those days, doesn't mean that you're not being supported and you're not like the coaches still believe in you, even though you have one off day. It's normal. It's normalized all the time.
Right. I think we tend to, especially under pressure, we take those isolated instances and think they're a lot huger than they are. Well, is huger a word? A lot larger than they are. Right. I think we feel like we feel it's very personal. Oh man, I stink. It's like we feel it's persistent. Like, oh, I'm gonna stink forever. And then we feel it's like pervasive. Like, oh, I'm gonna stink at everything now. So it's. I think it's hard to fight through that. So I think the way that you were able to just kind of, I don't even say trust the process, but more like trust the belief system or the culture maybe is cool. If you were to take like one single lesson from your freshman, sophomore years in terms of like how to lead others that were coming in as freshmen, what do you think the number one most important thing was that you took out of your early years?
I think just like being open to everything and being a welcoming leader, because I think that is the biggest thing. Like especially like the first, like during preseason, feeling welcomed on a team is like, that's what gets your foot in the door. That's what makes you be like, if you feel like you're not welcomed and you're not being like you don't belong, your soccer play is going to show that, because that's what you're thinking in your head. And most of the time if you are having an off like day, or you don't feel good mentally, your soccer play is going to show that. So I think like as the leaders did a great job my freshman and sophomore year, being like, everyone's welcome here, everyone belongs here, we all deserve to be here. So I think it was like, that was the biggest thing, and it boosts your confidence a little bit, and it puts trust in yourself that I am here, and like I don't know, that's, I think, like just like being welcomed to a team.
Yeah, I like that, because I think of I think it's self-determination theory. They talk about like if you're going to be a happy, high-functioning person in any environment, one, you want to feel a sense of community. That's what you just talked about. The other one is you want to feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of growing. And the third one is a sense of autonomy. How do you think we can help people have a little autonomy in their development? I mean, we're very coach, drill centered. How do you take control of your own development within that kind of framework?
I think it's a lot of self-reflection on like who you are as a person and what you're bringing to the table. Like, I think there's always gonna be times where you're like, why did I act like that? That's not who I am. And also like you gotta like just like take a step back and be like, okay, that's not who I am. Why did, like, even accountability, like there'll be days where I'm like, why did I say that to that person? And being like, hey, I did not mean it like that. Like, that is not who I am as a person. I'm sorry I acted like that. So and like being straight up with yourself. Is that who I am? That's the type of person I want to be, versus this is who I want to be, and that's what I want to show to my teammates.
Do you feel, I love that, do you feel like that personal, the accountability, that's not who I am, all these things you just talked about, do you feel you've been successful, or at least kind of really good at bringing those into your team, like as a leader, kind of like, hey, that's not the way we do things here, and do you feel you've been good at that?
Yeah, I think it's hard at times, because you like sometimes you're like, oh, I feel like I'm always saying something, I'm always yelling something, I'm always doing something, I'm like, people probably think I'm annoying, but then it's like it has to be done though, because you never know, some people might think it's annoying, but it might mean the world to other people. And like, it's like, even if it was one person on our team took it as, wow, that really helped me, it's worth it, because it helped at least one person.
You made me think on that. I read something that said, like, the purpose of a leader is not to gain consensus, but it's to mold it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of made me think that when you're talking is like what you're saying is not always going to, not everyone's going to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you felt yourself like having to push something through that you strongly believed in, knowing it was for the good of people?
Yeah, I would say like sometimes like there's like as a leader there's gonna be some days where you don't like there's been days where I'm like, oh, I have to get through this. I have to. It's been a long day. I need to get through this, but I'm still a leader, so I still have to show up for my teammates and be there for them. And I think it's hard, especially if you feel like the energy's off, because there's some days where it's not, and you still have to, even though your energy might be off, you still have to push through and be like, hey, this is who we are as a team. Let's get there. Like blah blah blah. This is what we need to do. And some days it's hard because it's like you can just tell that some people are just not in it. As a whole group, we're just not in it today. We're off. We have an off day. So it's like, but you still have to push that even if yourself isn't feeling like in the right mindset at the same time.
I love that, and this will be the last question regarding this, and then I've got one more fun one for you.
Okay.
But I often say, look, I'd much rather see you give 100% of your 80% than 80% of your 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They're both 80%.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, like, you can tell when someone's like 80%ing as opposed to 100, right?
Yes.
Even if they're the same level.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone watching out there, 100% of your 80, your leaders are watching. Yeah, 100%. I loved that. Last one. You're about done. Not to make you sad.
No, it's okay.
But as you're wrapping up a great career, a great soccer career,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell your freshman high school self as she's looking to enter the collegiate experience and you're just exiting it right now? What words of advice would you give her?
That you can get through anything as long as you put your heart and mind to it, because I think like that's the biggest thing was I was scared to come in and play college soccer. I was scared. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to play college soccer, and I was like, I think the biggest thing that sticks with you is if you put 100% effort, if you're 100%, your mind and heart is into it, good will happen, and you don't have to worry. You don't. I mean, I'm a big worrier, so it's like.
We all are.
So you just don't stress over the little things and just go out there and be yourself, and everything will happen for a reason.
Love it. Kara, it was great.
Thank
you very much.
Sorry, I was like, I don't know. I feel like